Have you ever looked in a mirror and felt like the person staring back wasn't quite you? A flicker of an expression you don't recognize, a shadow that seems out of place. We all have. But what if that feeling wasn't just a trick of the light? What if every mirror you looked into showed you a completely different reality? Welcome to the story of the Blackwood Manor, a house where reflections have a life of their own. Nestled deep in the fog-shrouded hills of northern England, Blackwood Manor has been abandoned for over a century. Locals whisper stories about it, tales of strange lights and unsettling sounds. But the most persistent legend is about its mirrors. They say that every single mirror in the house, from the grand hall to the smallest pocket mirror left in a dusty drawer, reflects something different. Not just a slightly altered you, but a completely different world, a different life, a different version of yourself. This legend is what drew a team of paranormal investigators and urban explorers, led by a historian named Dr. Alistair Finch, to the manor's gates. They were skeptics, armed with cameras, EMF meters, and a healthy dose of disbelief. They were there to debunk the myth, to explain away the strange reflections with science, warped glass, atmospheric tricks, optical illusions. They had no idea what they were about to uncover. The front doors creaked open into a cavernous entry hall. Dust motes danced in the beams of their flashlights, painting ghostly stripes across peeling wallpaper and cobweb-draped furniture. And there it was, the first mirror, a massive, ornate gilt-frame mirror hanging above a cold stone fireplace. It was clouded with age, its silvering cracked and peeling. Alistair was the first to approach. He shone his light on the surface, expecting to see his own weary face reflected back. But he didn't. Instead, the mirror showed a man who looked like him, but older, with silver hair and a deep sadness in his eyes. This reflected Alistair was standing in a modern, minimalist apartment, staring out at a city of towering skyscrapers. In the real world, she was right there. But in the mirror, Alistair was utterly alone. Lena's reflection was nowhere to be seen. Shaken, they moved deeper into the house. Each room held a new, impossible reflection. In the dining room, a long, warped mirror above a sideboard showed the team gathered around the decaying table, but they were dressed in Victorian attire, laughing and feasting as if at a grand banquet. They looked happy, carefree, a stark contrast to the tense, nervous figures standing in the dusty room. In what must have been a lady's boudoir, a small silver hand mirror lay on a dressing table. Lena picked it up, her hand trembling slightly. She looked into it and dropped it with a cry. She said it showed her face, but covered in strange, glowing symbols, her eyes burning with a cold blue light. She looked powerful, terrifying, and nothing like the person she knew herself to be. The team started documenting everything, their initial skepticism melting away into a mixture of fear and awe. What was this place? A gateway to alternate universes, a window into possible futures or pasts, or something far more sinister. Alistair found a diary in the master bedroom, its leather cover crumbling to the touch. It belonged to the last resident, a woman named Elara Blackwood, who lived there in the late 1800s. Her entries started out normal, detailing her daily life. But then, they grew strange. She wrote about the mirrors. She described seeing herself as a queen on a golden throne in one, and a starving beggar in another. She wrote that the mirrors weren't just showing her different lives, they were tempting her. Her final entry was almost illegible, the ink smudged by what looked like tear stains. She wrote, "The man in the glass has promised me everything. He says I only need to step through. He says the world on the other side is better. He says my reflection will take my place here. A simple trade. I am so lonely. I think I will accept." After that, the diary was empty. Elara Blackwood was never seen again. A chill ran down Alistair's spine. A trade? Was that what this house did? Did it trap you in an alternate reality while a version of you from the mirror world stepped into ours? Was that the manor's secret? As this horrifying thought settled in, one of the younger members of the team, a cameraman named Ben, let out a yell from the library. They rushed to find him staring, mesmerized, into a tall, thin mirror tucked between two bookshelves. "Look," he whispered, "I'm a rock star. They're all screaming my name." In the reflection, Ben was on a massive stage, a guitar in his hands, a sea of adoring fans before him. He started to reach out, his fingers almost touching the cold glass. "Ben, no!" Alistair shouted, pulling him back just as his fingertips were about to make contact. The moment Alistair pulled him away, the reflection in the mirror changed. The rock star Ben vanished, replaced by a twisted, monstrous version of him, with elongated limbs and hollow eyes, snarling in silent fury at having its prize snatched away. The team realized the terrifying truth. The mirrors weren't just windows, they were traps. They showed you your deepest desire, your ultimate fantasy, to lure you in. They decided they had seen enough. It was time to leave. But the house didn't seem to want them to go. As they made their way back to the entrance hall, the air grew heavy, and a low humming sound vibrated through the floorboards. The reflections in the mirrors seemed to grow more agitated, more desperate. Figures pounded on the glass from the other side, their silent screams visible on their faces. When they reached the grand mirror in the entry hall, the one that had first shown Alistair, his older self, it was no longer showing the lonely man in the city. Now it reflected the hall they were standing in, perfectly. Except for one detail. Their own reflections were standing there, smiling. But their smiles were wrong. They were predatory, hungry, and as the team watched in horror, their reflections began to step forward, their forms shimmering as if they were about to push through the glass surface and into the real world. They didn't wait to see what would happen next. They threw open the front doors and ran, not stopping until the fog-shrouded silhouette of Blackwood Manor was far behind them. They never went back. All their footage was corrupted, showing nothing but static. All they had was their shared, terrifying memory. The story of Blackwood Manor serves as a chilling reminder. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you see when you look in the mirror, because you never know who or what might be looking back. The house still stands, silent and waiting, and inside, countless mirrors hold countless worlds, each one a promise and each one a prison. The question is, if you found a mirror that showed you the life you always dreamed of, would you be strong enough to walk away? Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by mysteries like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the unexplained. See you next time.